Alright, in this video I'm going to go over installing IntelliJ for the C212 course at Indiana University. Of course, I imagine this will also be applicable to anyone who wants to install IntelliJ. So, what you're going to do is you'll just go to your favorite web browser, you can go to Google, and then we'll type in IntelliJ, and then you'll see here where it says JetBrains. We'll just go to that, click on accept all, then we'll hit download. And what's interesting is that there actually used to be two versions of IntelliJ, one called Community and one called Ultimate, but now it's just one thing. So all you have to do is just click the download here, and then this will download. So I'll come back when this is finished. Alright, it's finished, so when it's done you just hit the open file button, or you can go to Explorer and it will pop up here, although I think I clicked it a few times, so yep, I did. So make sure you just click it one time, don't click it 47 times or else you'll see that happen. So just hit next, install it to wherever you want. You can put a desktop shortcut if you want, you can add it to your path, which I would recommend doing. You can click on open folder as project, so like when you right click on a folder it'll say like you can open it as an IntelliJ project, which is kind of cool. You can create associations here with Java, with Gradle, with Kotlin, with POM files, and for 212 you don't need to know or care about any of these last options. The first one that you can do is just Java. You don't have to check that, but it's nice to do. You can hit install, and this will actually take a pretty good amount of time, so once again I'll come back when this is done. Alright, so once it's done it will say that it has been installed successfully. On Mac OS you'll have to do something slightly differently, but this is Windows, so everything is pretty straightforward. So you can hit run IntelliJ IDEA and it will open. We'll see how long this ends up taking. Shouldn't take too long, but we'll see. So you'll agree to the end user license agreement. You can share or not share your stats, and then you'll hit allow here, and then we're done. Well, we're not done yet, but there are a couple things you can do. If you are a student, you can go down here to the bottom left in the gear, click on manage subscriptions, and then hit log in. And this will allow you to log in with your school account and basically get IntelliJ Ultimate, or the Ultimate subscription, for free. For C212 in particular, we strongly advise you to not do that because it will enable a whole bunch of AI features that we do not allow you to use. So if you want to be safe, just use the free version of IntelliJ. And so when you want to create a new project, you'll click on the new project button. You can type in the name of your project, so let's just say this is the first lab, so lab 01. And then you can uncheck, or you should uncheck, this add sample code button. And then you can leave all of this stuff the same. And then for the JDK, you can use JDK 26, that's fine. If that's not listed for you, like if you have an older version of IntelliJ, then you need to use Java 25. So Java 25 is the latest long-term support version, and it's what we're going to be using in this class. So make sure that you're at least on version 25. There's not a huge difference between 25 and 26. At least for the purposes of C212. So then it doesn't matter what vendor you choose. I've used Amazon Corretto, I've used Microsoft OpenJDK, I've used Oracle. It doesn't really matter. Just hit select, you can hit create, and then it'll take a minute to set up the project, and it'll take a minute to download the JDK. And then you're going to see a whole bunch of pop-ups here, so a bunch of AI stuff. So what we want you to do at least for C212, is so basically when you download IntelliJ, you'll get a free Ultimate subscription, which has all of the built-in AI features. So what we want you to do is you go to Settings here, and there are a couple of things we would like you to turn off. And so I don't actually quite remember where they all are, but basically you'll have some autocomplete things that we want you to disable. Let's see, let's go to editor. Let's see, I think it's like maybe under general. Maybe, let's see. Tools. Give me a minute and I will find them. Okay, so that didn't take very long. So you'll go under editor, you'll go under general, then you'll go under code completion right here. Then you'll click on inline, and we want you to disable this, which will turn off inline suggestions. And then you'll do the same thing, except you'll go to, let's do that again. So code completion, pop up, and let's see. So you turn off the sort suggestions suggested by machine learning. And I think there's one more, maybe not. Let's see, maybe it's a command completion. Let's see. Well, we can tell if we have it enabled by creating a project. So let's go ahead and actually do that. So, or creating a file, let me say that. So what you'll do for the most part in this class is you'll create something called a class, which is basically a file for where your source code will go. And let's just call it problem1. And let's make this a bit bigger so you all can see it. There we go. Okay. And this is the file. And then for the usually what you're also going to do is create a tester file. But let's say for a second that we're writing a method that will compute the Celsius counterpart of a given temperature in Fahrenheit. Okay, so let's just say that's the problem, and this is what we'll demo on the first day of class. But the way you would do that is let's first start out by writing the method header. So we'll say static double F2C, and then we'll give it a temperature in Fahrenheit, and we'll return a temperature in Celsius. And what's good is that we know the AI features are disabled because there's nothing that's auto-completing the header or auto-completing the body. That's what's good. Okay. So the way to generate the test files is, it's actually very simple. All you have to do is you're going to right-click on the class name. You're going to hit Show Context Actions, then click on Create Test. And then you'll see this little window here if there's not already a test root here. And then you'll see create tests in the same source root. And basically what this means is that you can create test files in a separate package. And if you don't know what that means, that's fine. It just means like you can separate tests from the source code. And by the source code, I mean the files that we're actually writing. You can separate them for modularity purposes, but you don't have to. Okay. And for simplicity, we're not going to do that. So we'll just hit OK. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change JUnit 5 to JUnit 6. Okay, so we're using JUnit 6 in this class, or in this course, rather. And what you'll do is you'll see JUnit 6 library not found in the module, so you'll hit Fix, you'll hit OK, and then you'll wait for it to do its thing. And then you'll hit this little checkbox down here, and this will generate a test method for this method called F2C. Now, what you should do is change the name of the method to test F2C, and following Java's naming convention, we uppercase all words after the first word, although F2C isn't really a word, so you could argue to leave the F lowercase. It doesn't really matter. But now you're going to see a bunch of these red errors here, and that's kind of annoying. So what you might be tempted to do is resolve it by clicking this right here. So hovering over tests and then adding test ng to your class path. Do not do this. This is the wrong thing to do. And I wish JUnit would, or IntelliJ would make this a little bit clearer. But what you want to do instead is hover over assertions and add this library to your class path. And then that will fix everything. If you hover over test and you do it, you will import the wrong thing. And if you import the wrong thing, it might accidentally give you something that works locally, but then when you submit it to the autograder, it won't work. So just be very, very careful about doing stuff like that. Okay? And then what you'll do is you'll write your tests here. So I'm not going to do that in this video, but basically when you want to run them, you'll hit the run button here, and it'll run all the assertions in this the body of this method here. Now this won't actually compile because I forgot to put return 0. Did not mean to hit debug. Let's not debug that. So when you run it, it will show all of your test cases down here. And of course, because there are none, everything passes trivially. But that's how you set up an IntelliJ project and how you set up JUnit. Okay. Another thing that I've seen students do and get confused about is this .out folder. So please be very careful to not modify any files inside of this out directory. But the question is, what is the out directory? The out directory is where all of your .class files are going to go. And the .class files are what is generated by your Java compiler. Okay? So Java will take your source code, it'll compile it down to Java bytecode, it'll put it into these .class files, which the JVM then interprets. Okay? The .class files go in this output folder, is what out means. Okay? Now, what's interesting is that you can go into these .class files and you can read their source code because IntelliJ comes with a decompiler. It will decompile the .class files back into readable source code. Now the problem is that sometimes the decompiler gets a little confused. Or not really confused, but rather it'll put more information in your code than you want. Okay? So like for example, it adds this constructor here, it adds this cast here, it adds this uppercase F here. There's just 3 things automatically that if we see you do this in the first lab or the first problem set or whatever, we're going to know something's up and we're going to ask you, what are you doing? So just completely ignore this out folder, but make sure it's there. And if something's going wrong, you might accidentally not have one. And that's where you'd go over to project structure, you go to modules, and you'll make sure that you have a folder called out that is excluded. Okay? And then you also want to make sure you have a folder called source, but the name of the folder doesn't really matter as long as it's marked as source so IntelliJ can see it. Okay? And the reason why you want the output folder is because and again, the name doesn't matter, but what you really care about is where the compiler is going to put that output. Okay? So you're going to have a folder for the excluded stuff, which is the compiled Java code. And in the project tab here, you can specify where you want that compiled output to go. Now by default, it'll always output it into the out folder. It'll match your IntelliJ module, as it's called. But if you don't want it there, or something's going wrong, then you can change it. And for the sake of simplicity, I would strongly recommend just keeping this all the same, keeping SDK default to SDK default. And if something's going wrong, then you should come to your instructor, you should go to a TA, and we'll help you resolve these kinds of things. Because IntelliJ can be a bit daunting at first. Just everything about this can be very, it can be intimidating. So it's okay to get lost, it's okay to get stuck, but it's also important to recognize when you get stuck so you can get help. Okay? Alright.